So my topic was child translators. What is a child translator? It's a kid from a refugee or migrant background who is relied on to translate on behalf of their family members due to language barriers. And so what is LEP? Limited English proficiency is an individual who immigrates into a predominantly English-speaking country, yet they struggle to integrate with the culture because of the language barriers. Parentification, it's the act of putting an appropriate amount of responsibilities on a child, whether that is physically or mentally. So, like taking care of your siblings, even though you shouldn't have to. So, according to the Census Bureau, over 11 million children in the US act as interpreters for their family. In 2023, the US Census says that there was 17.9 million children, which is 26% of all children in the US who have a foreign-born parent. And then also 25 million Americans have limited English proficiency. So why do these child translators happen? And it happens because parents with LEP have children who either immigrated with them or who were born in the desired country, and they have more access and are more exposed to English. And so, unfortunately, they are the only resource to these parents. And like I said, unfortunately, they will be translating for their parents. And because of the immigrant culture, specifically Latino culture and Chicano culture, we are brought in a world where we are supposed to be grateful. And I am very grateful. I would happily translate for my mom if it meant not her being humiliated or discriminated against. I am very grateful for the opportunity she's given me, so I think it's fair if I was able to translate for her. I mean, why not, you know? And these statistics also show that discrimination can happen just because they don't know English. This shows two types of immigrants, those that can speak English and those who do not. And as you can tell, they are not being treated right. They do not have access to a lot of healthcare and not a lot of great healthcare. Apart from that, discrimination. As you can tell, even though they're both immigrants, one of them is getting exclusively treated worse, and because of that language barrier, they will not be able to report those issues. And I think that's just the problem with it, that they are forced to have to put these kids into these positions, unfortunately, even if they also just don't want to and they feel like it's too much responsibility on them. They can't do that, you know? They're forced to do this. And then apart from that, we have legislation that is supposed to stop child translators. So like the Affordable Care Act, Title 6 of the Civil Rights Act, and the U.S. Department of Justice that implements policies. And it's supposed to stop like liability issues. For example, mistranslations if the kid inaccurately like translates. And I can tell you that this is not very true. Unfortunately, it's not very true. I've translated in medical environments. I've translated in government documents and also government environments too. Apart from that, I've always translated for my own grades, even though these people are supposed to have access to interpreters for these people, even though they don't do that, and unfortunately they also think it's more convenient for their kids to translate. Even though, keep in mind, they can get fined for that. So some side effects of interpreting on children is parentification. I feel like I've grown up way too quickly. I feel very old now, even though I'm only 18. Another thing is I am still technically a child translator, unfortunately, and so it just never stops. Another thing is too much pressure. You're translating government documents, you are sending emails. It's a lot of pressure. You are a kid, you shouldn't have to worry about that. And codependency. I have a really weird dynamic with my mom because of the fact that she depends on me, but I also depend on her. So it's a weird mesh of respect, but also like codependency on both of us. So it's just a really weird dynamic, even though she's supposed to be my mom. Another thing is, what can we do? So more empathy to LEP parents. A lot of time they will be like, well, why can't you just learn English? And unfortunately, that's because of the fact that they are trying to give more opportunities to their kids via working. And so they don't have access to studying more and more time for English. Another thing is language resources. So in Jackson, we have this thing called Latino Resources. It's supposed to help with filing bills, filing for government assistance, etc. So implementing more of those in the desired language that we want for more like places nationally would help a lot and lift off more responsibility from these kids. Another thing is better pay for professional interpreters. My friend is a professional interpreter. She has a seal of biliteracy and she keeps on doing certificates and courses in order to be better certified for an interpreter position. However, even though she works in the healthcare industry, unfortunately, she is not provided better pay, even though she knows more than one language. So she gets paid the same amount as her coworkers who only speak one language. So thank you for hearing me out, and I think more awareness should be able to stop kids from sacrificing their own childhood. Thank you.